welcome to Free. My name is Ryan. I'm the lead pastor and executive director here. Her name is Carrie. She is the associate executive director here. So good to be with you all tonight. Welcome on this Saturday night. If you're a bit fuzzy on who we are, or maybe you're new here, you should know that we are a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And there's always one thing we don't do here. Y'all can shout it out on the count of 3. By the way, if you're online, if you're joining us in your living room or sober living house or treatment center or your bathroom or kitchen or wherever you are, you can shout it out, make it really awkward. We're glad you're part of this community. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame, but Carrie is going to tell you all kinds of things coming up in the future here at Free.
Yes, but first, if this is your first time here, welcome. We are glad that you guys are here. We would love to get connected with you after service. So just outside of these doors, come find one of us or a volunteer, and we'll get you hooked up with a welcome bag. Inside the welcome bag, you'll find some fresh roasted wagon coffee from the extraordinary Tammy Canada and her team at Wagon Coffee, as well as some free swag, and you'll see a meeting schedule in there. If you flip over to the back, you'll see a QR code. If you scan that QR code, you can get all of our goodies there. You can download our app there, find all the meetings that we have there, and most importantly, get signed up to our newsletter. On that newsletter, you'll get connected with all the guest storytellers, and all the different events that we have going on throughout the community. For example, friends, if you stay after this service, Nancy Martin, who is our resident therapist down the hall, she is having a Breaking the Families. I'm gonna have to get the name
Not
right.
breaking up families, Carrie.
Breaking the cycle. Where's the flyer so I can cheat and read it? We're not gonna break the. We're gonna save the family. Breaking the cycle. Family group, friends.
Because here at Free, we break up families and we believe in it.
We don't do shame, Mr. Canada. Remember that?
That's true.
Thank you.
That's true.
Anyway, friends, stay in between the service. There's free food provided, and Nancy will teach you guys some wonderful ways to connect with your kids better. It's a great program. It's absolutely free, and she does this on the 1st and the 3rd Saturdays of every month, so you can catch it right after the service.
Can I say a word about that too?
Go right ahead.
So we're partnering with the Hazelden Betty Ford Center for this. So they're here as well and doing things with the littles. So if you have kids, this is for you. That's all I was going to say.
Next time you should do the announcement.
No, you're doing great.
So much better
You're doing great.
Next up, this one I'll nail because this one I'm personally arranging.
Yes.
So friends, I know I asked for vendors. Now it's the official time that we're going to start introducing that on Thursday, March 12th. It's a completely free event. This is going to be absolutely bananas. This building will be packed. We had over 90 vendors apply. So every single part of this building, you need to move out of the way so they can see the flyers, what they're asking. Thanks. So there's going to be this entire building is completely free to attend. It's going to be sober livings. It's going to be peer recovery coach training. It's going to be resources to help you get jobs, pretty much anything to do with recovery. We're going to have somebody here representing something. Tell your friends. It's free to attend. There'll be food trucks. There'll be food. Tons of different connections. It's going to be from 11 until 2 in this building. You do not need to register. But if the weather's nice, which given our weather lately, it will be, we're going to close off the parking lot and put the food trucks back there. So you might need to park at, is it Safe? Not Safeway.
Safeway. Half block down.
Half a block down. All right, next, my friends, we have baptisms coming up. So on May 2nd, we are going to have one service only, and we're going to do baptisms in the wagon. It's going to be on Saturday, May 2nd. If you are interested, you can email Ryan. It's really easy to remember. It's just ryan@freerecoverycommunity.com. If you do not remember what I say, you can also log on to our website and find his email address. But in order to do that, you do need to email him, and there will be a What is Baptism night, and that is going to be on Thursday, April 23rd from 5:30 to 6:30.
Yeah. And if you haven't been part of our baptisms here at Free, we fill up the wagon with water. It's a special evening. Kira, did we talk about this? We didn't talk about this because I didn't tell you yet. But assuming Kira agrees like she does every
She
other
just
baptism
did.
we do, she'll do the sound bowls that night. It's a special evening. And we'll talk more about this at the What is Baptism session, but here at Free, you're not being baptized into a denomination or into a religion. You're being baptized into the family of God, and we believe here that that family is a big family, and there's all kinds of room for you. So if that is ever something you've been interested in, baptism, come talk to. You can either email me or come talk to me, and do come to that night, April 23rd, to the What is Baptism session. And it's all kinds of fun. You get to get in cold water in a wagon. Actually, we warm it up. We warm it up, don't we, Catherine? We get it warm. So anyway, if that's you, let me know. Is
That's
that
all
it?
I got for you.
Okay, thank you,
But you
Carrie.
need the microphone over here? Are you going to do...
Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, you can give that to Jason. Or my mom is in town. My mom is going to pass around a mic tonight. Sherry is in town. Yeah, let's give her some love all the way from Naples, Florida. Y'all, it's how we get started here at Free on a Saturday night. We start with celebrations. We start with the good. We lift up the good. Because there's something about starting with the gratitude, even in the midst of the mess, but we save heartaches for the end. We start with the gratitude, the good. Maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or a birthday or new jobs, new homes, new babies, new whatever. We celebrate it all here, and we take 3 minutes for this. So in-house people, you just raise up your hand. Jason will get you a mic on this side. Sherry will get you a mic on this side. If you're online, drop your celebrations in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, and we will join with you there. Let's take 3 minutes, shall we? have very good mic passers around here, but those two were the best we've had in our whole Freeze history, the best mic passers we've ever had.
Every single time.
Can I say one thing before we start with online people? Fredo, would you just stand up for a moment just so people can see you? Even though you're wearing a Bulls hat, not a Nuggets hat. That's Fredo. Dude, when you were sharing your celebration, so I'll be giving a talk in St. Louis on Monday morning, and Fredo is part of this talk because going back to baptisms, dude, your baptism, when we baptized you in the wagon, and your daughter standing next to you holding your hand, it was one of the moments that stands out here at Free. And I'm just always aware of your story, and thank you for being here tonight and for sharing your good news with us. Dude, it's really good to see you. Yeah. I was thinking about, because I'm also going to share with them the power of celebration, starting with celebrating together, and the things that get shared here that don't get shared in other communities, the vulnerability, the taking off the mask, the being able to celebrate getting on parole. Man, just big things happen, and I don't want to miss those things. It's why we start with celebrations. Anyway, I'll stop preaching now because I don't have to preach tonight.
I think that's true, though. Like, when we started Free, we said we don't want it to be a place where we sugarcoat crap. Yeah. We might have used a different word.
You did use a different word.
But we don't sugarcoat here. So we are authentic. We say what's going on, what's happening in real time. And so I appreciate that's still who we are.
And with heartaches, too. Okay, our screen is out up here tonight, so we got to turn around, show everyone our butts, and read from the back. You want the first one?
David, sad that I'm a little under the weather, so not able to be there with y'all in person this week, but celebrated 60 days this week, along with getting into a new sober living, thanks to some very amazing people in my life.
Yeah, way to go, David. Celebrate you, brother. Get well out there. MJ says, I will celebrate my 80th birthday on Tuesday. So thankful for a good life. Happy birthday, MJ. Yes.
Happy birthday, friend. Oh, and another MJ. Thankful my grandson is alive after a hit and run.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we'll celebrate that. Grateful for that. Is that all of them? All right, that's all of them tonight. Thank you, Tam, for being up here. If you were here, I don't know, was it a few weeks ago? I think it was a few weeks ago. I let you all know that we added a staff member that I am really happy about. Tonight you're going to hear from this new staff member because he's going to be with us, I don't know, every couple of months. Well, here's what happened. I'll just be honest with y'all. I called Dr. Corey Latta. We can just call him Corey, but I like to say doctor sometimes just to really hype him up. He lives in Memphis. And I said, Corey, dude, could you fly out here every once in a while, 6 times this year and do some guest preaching for us, and we can work it out this way? And we just started talking ideas, me, him, and Corey. And so Corey's joining us. The title we picked for Corey was Resident Teaching Pastor. He's got degrees in therapy. He's a therapist. But he's also got degrees in the New Testament and in Greek. I told you all last week he's a C.S. Lewis scholar. He comes with all sorts of knowledge, but he's also one of us. He's part of the recovery community, and he knows us, gets us, and digs us, and I think y'all are going to dig him too. So Corey Latta will be closing our series tonight, and we'll see him again in May. But we're in this series called Recovering Love. This is the closing of it, and here's the video.
What about now? All right, we're in it. Very glad to be with y'all tonight, and going to be glad to be with you many other nights. I've loved the series that Ryan's been leading about love. I'm going to go back to a love that Ryan covered and kind of pair it with another. So we're going to talk about storge love. You talked about storge love, right? And going to talk about phileo love as well. Phileo love in Greek is brotherly love, friendship love, sisterly love. Storge is that natural kind of familial, known love. And I want to ask the question, what happens when we turn that love back in ourselves? We pride ourselves, many of us pride ourselves on being very good friends to people. We know what it's like to be there for others. We know what it's like to sacrifice. We know what it's like to hold each other up and support. But I've come to find, and I've certainly experienced, that the love that we show others, that we turn outward, we very rarely turn back in ourselves. We're great friends to others. Some of the people that I would call the dearest, closest, most supportive friends I've ever known are terrible friends to themselves. I'm a great friend to you, and I'm often a terrible friend to me. So I want to talk about what that means. That screen's out. Okay, I'm going to look back. Matthew, hit that first slide. So storge love, familial love, affectionate love, natural love. This is love that we feel safe in. This is love we feel known in. It sits really close to friendship love. Storge love is that love that you just kind of grow into and then you feel nestled in. It's natural. You don't feel like you have to work at it. You know this with your kids. You know this with your parents, hopefully, maybe. We'll talk about that in a second. You know this with, your best friend, the person that you could tell anything to. I think free kind of cultivates these kinds of relationships. We're told even biblically, Romans 12:10, to love one another with this particular kind of love, this sort of natural, familial love. Sounds wonderful, right? It's good news. But it's not for those who've never received that kind of love, and those who don't know what it's like to have it, and those who don't know how to turn it back in on themselves. I've worked in the world of recovery and addiction for years now. I've been in recovery for years now. If I had to say, there's one common denominator, one thing I've seen. In people, it didn't matter when their sobriety date was. 24 hours sober, 24 years sober. Didn't matter how well they worked their program. The one thing I've seen in more people than not is an inability to love themselves. It's at the core. I think it's at the core of their true recovery, but it's at the core of how they live their lives. So we're going to talk about why that matters. And I want to give you this. Matthew, keep hitting that slide there. Do another one for me. Go to the next one. And next one. Yep, this right here. This is why this matters. The quality of the love we give to ourselves determines the authenticity of the love we give to others. The quality of the love that I give me determines the authenticity of the love that I give you. Now, I'm going to talk to a very specific demographic tonight. I'm going to talk to and if this is not you, great. I would love to know what that's like. Come see me after. Tell me your secret. Well, I want to talk to each and every one of you who have a hard time turning that kind of love, that kind of closeness, that familial love back in on themselves. I'm going to start with the premise that we, generally speaking, are just not good friends to ourselves. And I want to give you a sort of a list of symptoms how you know you're not a good friend to yourself. So Matthew, you want to pull that up? Okay, let me just walk through these for a second. Signs you're not all that good a friend to your own heart. And I'll be honest, this comes out of my own personal journey. This is not me this is what you struggle with. This is me saying, and this is me all the time, okay? What you so easily believe for others, you struggle to believe for yourself. You could come up to me right now and say, oh my God, my life's falling apart. I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to prison. It doesn't matter. And I would be like, and it's going to work out for you. It's going to. I'm confident of that. You're worthy of that. If I get a flat tire, right, I struggle to believe anything's going to go my way. I have so much hope for you and so much confidence in God's plan for you, and I struggle to turn that same hope back in on myself. That's a sign. That's a sign that you struggle to have this kind of familial, secure, abiding love for yourself. Second sign, you do for others what you don't do for yourself. Not only do I believe the best for you, I'll give you the shirt off my back, generally speaking. I'll go out of my way to do things for you. But you ask me to take a moment of self-care, and I will find some reason why I don't have the time, or I don't have the capacity, or something else needs to be done. Your self-talk, let's talk about that. If I were to talk to another human being how I talk to myself, I'd get punched. Oftentimes. Here's how you know the love that you so badly and desperately need to give yourself is missing or lacking. Just listen to the way you talk to yourself. And what do you say to you when things aren't going well? What do you say to you when you're struggling? What do you say when you make a mistake? How good a friend to yourself are you in the moment following failure? How do you see yourself? You're critical of others. Now, the name of this sermon is the face you turn toward yourself is the face you turn toward others. Here's why this is a sign that you're not a good friend to yourself. One of the things I've had to struggle with as a parent, I got 4 little kids, is how in my moments of frustration, I could just be really harsh, really critical. I want the thing done. I want you to pick that up. I want you to get to bed. I want you to get your homework done. And I can just start to kind of focus in on all that's not done and overlook the things that have been done or the things that are good. There's only one single reason I do that. And it's not because they're, 11 and 9 years old and because they're kids and they have, a lot of stuff going on. That's not the reason. It's because that's how I talk to myself all the time. My criticism of others, my harshness with others, almost always comes out of my projecting onto you what I give myself. You show me someone super judgmental, super critical, super harsh with another person, I'll show you someone who is relentless with themselves. Relentless with themselves. And then here's a big one, talk more about this. If you've stopped dreaming, if you've stopped desiring, if you've stopped hoping and asking God for things, if you stop projecting into the future the kind of life that you want, you have ceased to be a good friend to yourself. As a friend, if you came to me and said you had a dream, right? If a friend came to you and said they had a dream, what would you give them? You can do it. I'll help you do it. Heck yeah, you should do that thing, right? But sometimes we'll give that to others, forget to give it to ourselves. These are just some of the signs that we struggle to be a friend to ourselves. So, how can we be a friend to ourselves? Now, I'm going to sort of steer into my lane here. My recovery journey and my work looked like a lot of white knuckling, a lot of effort, a lot of failure, and a lot of setback. It still can feel like that. Until I started doing something called inner child work. So you're going to hear me kind of interweave some stuff that I hope means as much to you as it meant to me. So, being a friend to yourself. 4 things I want to give you. First is this. Being a friend to yourself starts with understanding that love without connection. Now, I want you to think about your families of origin here, okay? I want you to think about your upbringing. I want you to think about your parents. I want you to think about your relationships now. But catch this. Love without connection leads to an identity wound. You guys ever heard of the still face experiment? All right. If you have, it'll still be meaningful. If you haven't, I want you to watch this. A psychiatrist conducted what's now famously called the still face experiment. And you'll see that there's a mom and there's a baby. And the mom was tasked, and you'll hear this explanation, with being in a room and just being like, attentive and like smiling, like, oh gosh, look at that, and being very responsive to the baby. And then at some point, the mom is instructed to just go still face. I want you to watch what happens in the baby when the mom starts to shut down. And I want to go back to this point. If you would show that, please.
In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, "Come on, why aren't we doing this?" Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
And it was like you go on this roller coaster of emotion. It's like watching Punch the Monkey. You everybody watching Punch the Monkey right now? Wrecking my mental health watching Punch the Monkey, not have any mama to loving. Did that mom love that girl? But for a portion of time, was she connected to that girl? Love without connection leads to an identity wound. Many of us were taught God loves us. Many of us were told or shown in some kind of token way that we were loved by our caretakers. But most of us, I'd say all of us, did not feel connection. You want to know why it's hard for you to love your own heart and be a friend to yourself? Because you were given love without connection. Connection is attention. Connection is reciprocity. Connection is I see you as you see me. Connection is I'll be with you in the emotions as you go through with them. I'm responsive. To just be told you're loved by God, by anybody, but not felt, like given that felt connection, leads to an identity wound. Here's what it produces, and I actually contend that most every story of addiction is rooted in trauma that comes from disconnection. Watch what the baby does, right? So the baby starts, like, I'm just going to keep being a cute little baby and being pleasant. Mom doesn't respond. What's the baby resort to? I'm going to act out, right? I'm going to act out. We will do anything. It's hardwired into us. We will do anything to feel connection. I'll destroy my life as some warped upside down way to reach for connection. I will scream and shout and throw tantrums. I will act out. I will live in addiction because I've not known what it is to be connected. Love without connection leads to this identity wound, which then leads to the very thing that we say here at Free we don't do, shame. Second thing I want to say, how to love yourself. Give yourself connection, not just sort of love in word only, connection. And then, second thing, you've got to learn to love your ashamed parts. When we come up with disconnected relationships, we feel like we're not worthy of connection, and we will then live like we're not worthy of connection, right? We don't want to deal with those parts, We don't want to face them. We want to act like we're not there. We'll numb them. We'll try to escape them. And it doesn't ever occur to us until, a whole lot of years, a whole lot of work. You got to love them. You got to love them. I'll be honest, I'm just now at a place where I feel like I can look at certain things I've done, certain versions of myself, and say, I understand you. I understand why you showed up in the way you did. Even if it hurt you, even if it hurt others, I understand you. And I can give those parts of me that I'm ashamed of love. You will never be a friend to your own heart. You will never learn how to stand by yourself. You will never learn to love yourself until you can not just sort of tolerate the ashamed parts, not just love despite the ashamed parts, but to love the ashamed parts. Give those parts of you love. How do you do that? Third thing. I think this is honestly this is the linchpin for me. Loving yourself, being a friend to yourself, looks like giving your true self, which is your inner child, what they never got and still desperately need. That girl in the still face experiment, guess what she's going to need when she's 55 years old? Same thing she needed then. Maybe therapy. Maybe therapy. Just from the experiment alone, right? But she's going to need the same thing she needed then. Can you see me? Am I safe here? Do I belong? Right? That's what she's going to need. What happens, though, and I'm just going to assume this is your story because it seems to be every mortal story I've ever come across, certainly my story. What happens, though, when you didn't get what you needed? You act out. Acting out may become addiction. That shame develops. You have these ashamed parts you try to numb or hide from and escape the pain from. And you find that you just sort of turn away from yourself. And in so doing, you turn to your inner child. Your inner child is that true part of you that cannot be touched. It's loving. It's creative. It's giving. It's gracious. It's open. It dreams. You may hide him or her. We've done some terrible things to our inner children. You may sort of push them aside, but they do not cease to be. You can tap into a relationship with any time. It's your true self as God made you. It's your true self as God made you. Loving yourself means tending to that inner child. Here's how and I've said this before, I will always say it. Here's how I know I should not get into that relationship or that job or do that thing. It's not good to little Corey. It's not good for little Corey. I'm not going to trust you with him. And then I'll find somebody, maybe I can. Or I'll find an opportunity or something that is good for him. But I learned and am learning that what's good for my true self becomes what's good for my whole self. What's good for the little girl in you who's always longing, like that little girl in the video, to be seen and heard and connected with. What's good for her, what's good for the little boy in you, is good for all of you. I think there is no self-love. I think this whole conversation about self-love is pointless if it doesn't revolve around that true part of you that's always asking for your attention, always wanting to be picked up, always wanting to be loved, always wanting to be self-parented. Last thing I want to say is, you become a friend to yourself. You sort of turn story gay back in on yourself, phileo love back in on yourself. When you learn that standing beside that little, imagine my little boy here, I got him right here beside me. Standing beside that little girl, that little boy, the act of standing with them, in the belief that in so doing, you stand with God, and I'd say others stand with you too. Here's what being a friend to yourself means. When I stand by me, I'm convinced of this. I'm standing with God because I believe God stands by me. And I believe that others are standing by you as well. Sometimes I don't have enough faith or hope to believe that. I could be so sunk in my shame that all I can muster is to stand by myself. Sometimes that's enough. But when I stand by myself, when I stand next to myself, I believe that I stand with God and God stands with me. When I stand with the truest part of me, when you stand with the truest part of you, that God himself made, you stand with him. There are so many times that the thing we most need is to believe I'm not alone. I'm just not by myself. And if I have no one else, I can parent myself, give myself that, and believe that God gives us that as well. I'll never forget a parenting moment. My oldest son, at one time when he was younger, would have nightmares. He just had these kind of night terrors. And I would always come in and, he'd scream. I'd flick the light on really quickly. Bright light, and I would come in and be like, Bud, what's going on with you? Just get him settled, turn the light off, run back out. 30 minutes later, scream again. Come in, flick the light on. This one particular night, I bet I did this 5 times. And I left again. And this time when I left, he said, Dad, can you just not leave me? I walked back in. I did not turn the light on. I just laid in bed with him. He got quiet. He got still. And he slept. We don't need people necessarily to turn the light on. I just need to know you can be with me in the dark. My inner child doesn't need me to turn the light on sometimes, doesn't need me to change the circumstance. He just wants to know, can you be with me in the dark? The song that I've chosen, really familiar one, actually. Carrie chose it a few weeks ago. I did not know that when I chose it. But I want to, you know this song? I want to reinterpret it a bit. Actually, when this cover came out, it's pretty recent. People, you can go to the YouTube channel, and you see people actually saying this, that when they heard this version of it, they started to think about them being with themselves. It's Stand By Me by Stephen Wilson Jr., one of my favorite artists. I don't want you to think about another person in your life right now. I mean, if that's what comes up, if you fine. I want you to think about you saying this to you. I want you to think about you right now saying this to that little boy or that little girl in you in the spirit of friendship to your own heart.
I know, right? I was just like holding Tammy's arm, and I'm like, I can't do this, guys. I told him I quit, so if anyone wants a job. Anyway, I am sorry, but can we guys give it up for Corey one more time? It is such an honor to have you here. I have a sneaking suspicion that you will heal a lot of people with your words, and especially when you do a little bit of that inner child work. Because I don't know if y'all are like me, but that's the stuff I need to hear the most. So thank you for that. And then to follow with that song. But anyway, if you guys are new with us, you should know that every week we invite a community member up into the living room to share a little bit of their story with us. Today we have a friend who she gives back to this community on Saturday mornings. She does the yoga here with Colorado Artists in Recovery. She teaches people every single week how to come home to their bodies, how to make themselves a safe place. I am lucky enough to know her in the context of recovery, and I am super grateful for you guys to meet her. So can you please do me a favor and help welcome Sarah up to the living room?
Hello.
Hi. She just gave me a hug. So that's usually the guest storyteller who's nervous, but she was just so kind and gave me the hug because I needed it. So thank you, Sarah. You are very kind.
It was mutually beneficial. I needed it too.
Let's get into this because your story, we talked in this week, and you told me about your upbringing and your origin story. And there's something in here that a lot of people, I think, will understand. You said you came from a very loving home, and it wasn't always loving. You did have some disorganized attachment, so it wasn't always so kind. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like and what that how that affected you growing up?
Absolutely. So growing up, again, yes, I am lucky enough to have two very loving parents, a very loving older sister, and pretty quickly I knew I was like, these people are my best friends. I love them so much. They were very attentive until there were moments of anger and fighting that happened. Then it felt, very inconsistent. And of course, when I was younger, I didn't know any better. I just sort of thought that's how things were. And then I would go to other people's houses and realize that wasn't how things were. So it was very interesting, and I never quite knew when I would be receiving the very of the emotional support, or if it would be a moment where I'd be abandoned because of a fight. Not physically, but emotionally abandoned.
And one of the things that you had expressed was you never knew because of that, like if you were going to get love or you were going to get, in the middle of an argument. What you had actually said is you learned very early to lean in. Mm-hmm. And you always, even if there was conflict, you would lean into the conflict to try to be that the passive one. How do you, soothe this over? And that kind of also carried over into your friends. You had said that you had always found a lot of solace and you had a lot of comfort in your friendships. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Absolutely. So I always felt like held and supported by my friends. And I also sort of at a very young age was like, okay, how much Sarah do I need to be right now to fit in and be accepted? And it was kind of like the superpower and also something that obviously was ended up, being hurtful for me. So it was a little bit of a double edge on that.
Well, and so much so that when you did get sober, you were even saying that you didn't know who you were because you were outsourcing. You were outsourcing like all of your emotions or all of your well, you tell me what I need to be and I'll be that. That like the simple thing. So can you tell us when, you can't talk about addiction. Obviously, it's part of this reason why you're up here. But I also really want to focus on I always say that the addiction is the least interesting part about you, but I do know that alcoholism, you actually were able to turn that off, where you didn't care as much, and you actually got a little cocky. And, and so alcohol, like, you didn't care as much about what other people thought of you. Can you tell us what that was like?
Absolutely. So I remember when I first drank, just being like, okay, that was terrible. I want some more. And immediately just feeling like a little bit like the weight of the world I had felt so much in childhood was just taken off my shoulders. And I think that also carried over. I was like, okay, now people find me desirable. I can be silly. I can be funny. And I can kind of blame it on the drink, you know. I do want to say I had other authentic friendships during that time that didn't need the alcohol, of course. But as I got older and older and drank more and more, a lot of my friendships became fueled by alcohol. And I sort of thought that was the coolest thing about me, was showing up with alcohol.
And then to go back to that coming home to yourself, so then when you did get sober and you weren't really certain, like I said, was like, what do I like? How did you start learning to tap into your own energy source and understanding, like coming home to yourself and knowing, what do I like? Am I funny? What do I like to do? What do I like to eat? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I think something really helpful for me getting into sobriety was going into meetings and then just sharing, and then in those shares being like, okay, this is what I'm feeling, but like I didn't know how to have boundaries, or I didn't know what I felt comfortable sharing. I always like to say when I first got sober, I didn't even know how I liked my coffee, because I used to think I liked it black, and I really don't like black coffee. I'm like, give me the sugar. But so I think just beginning to notice little things about myself, and also in tandem, that's when I really fell in love with yoga. I began to like go to classes that were more like yin or restorative, and just like lay there and be like, okay, like what am I feeling in my body right now? Do I have a body? I forgot I had a body. So doing things like that, and I think just, yeah, that's where I'll leave it right now.
And congratulations on the 3 years.
Thank you.
Right? That's pretty amazing. What looks different today in, like, so someone who's out there and they may be earlier in recovery and they're like, I don't know, because when I first came in, I thought 3 years was just never going to be possible, or this journey of self-love where you're just like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do yoga, or I'm never going to be able to, as Corey was talking about, like look at those parts of myself and give myself this unconditional love. What would you say to the person who's out there who might be early in recovery, not understanding where do they even begin to tap into those parts?
Yeah, so something my sponsor likes to mention to me and remind me of is that even at the beginning of my sobriety, I was like, I'm gonna get this crystal and I'm gonna get that crystal, and like can't hurt, right? So I think I began to feel like, all right, well, can't hurt. I'm just gonna go try this and see how that does, like for these like self-healing practices. So I think just beginning to be open-minded and go to things that just feel right, checking in with yourself with that as well. And I think just, you know, when we're getting into this space of beginning to love ourselves, it can be really scary. And I feel like celebrating the little things. There was a time in my life where I would celebrate getting out of bed. There was a time in my life where I would celebrate, I'm walking to the sink, I'm brushing my teeth. Now that looks more like, ooh, I'm deep cleaning my floors. But even when I'm doing that now, I'm speaking to little Sarah, my inner child, and I'm like, we deserve a safe home. We deserve a peaceful home. We deserve a clean home. So I think that you can really start from just the smallest amount of willingness, and don't be hard on yourself if it looks different every day.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you do today? Because you can actually be found in several different arenas, and I know you and Jim, who's also, I'm sure most of you guys know who Jim is, but you do a lot of wonderful things in the community. Can you tell us about some of the things that you offer?
Absolutely. So Jim and I offer a monthly workout and restorative yoga class together where we team up. Working out began to be a really safe haven for me with him, and so I feel like even working out, even these things can be spiritual. And then I also offer, I have a little business called Found Healing, and I offer Reiki. Reiki is an energy healing practice, and it really, I just began going to sessions when I was early in recovery and began to feel like I was letting go of some trauma, and then got trained, and now I'm happy that I get to offer it. I also teach yoga at Rooted Heart twice a week, as well as at Sobriety House in Step Denver. So it's been a really beautiful journey to get to use some of the practices that have truly saved my life, along with this the program of AA and CA, and get to share that with others. It means the world to me.
I did not ask you this question, but it's an easy one. I'm just curious because so often I find that when we start talking about yoga or these spiritual, or whether it's that practice that you and Jim do, or we have the sovereignty and sobriety once a month here, there's something that many men just tune out and they say like, oh, that's not for me, or I can't step into that space. And there's just this like, that's for women. What would you say to men out there who, are terrified maybe to walk into that space?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I would say, life's just kind of full of people who are scared and doing things anyways, so try it out anyways. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. If you enjoy it, then you get to ground and feel a little closer to yourself, and absolutely nobody's judging you except yourself there.
I know, sorry I threw that at you, but
No.
but I feel like every single time, I feel like we have to sell it, like, guys, you can come too, guys, you can come too.
Yes.
So, and then in closing, so again, I think we are going to throw up on the screen how to get a hold of her, because she does have many different offerings. And if you don't get a chance to talk to her tonight, she does teach on Saturday mornings here at 11:15.
Yes.
At Colorado Artists in Recovery. Recovery. It's completely free to attend. You do not need to register either. You can just show up.
That's right.
But in closing, back to what are some tangible things, like to the person who is still out there, maybe they are watching online and they have absolutely no idea what we're talking about with this self-love, or they're like, I don't even know how to begin that, or what is something that you can, one practice or one little small little crumb that you can hand them tonight that gives them a little bit of hope that they too can like start this self-love journey?
Absolutely. When you're asking me that, I was almost like transcended back into this moment where I was still in my cups, and I was just sitting in my room and I felt so sad, and I just turned on a guided meditation, and at first I was like, I hate this, I'm bad at this, but it was a start, right? So I think honestly just finding like just for 2 minutes, just start for 2 minutes, just for 1 minute, getting out of the place that you're in through the mind can be really helpful. And nourishing. So I just feel like just having that little willingness to turn on a meditation. It could be a guided one. It could be anywhere. Or I like to use Insight Timer. You can find guided meditations on YouTube. Just something. And just give yourself that for today. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. And you're going to obviously stick around.
Yes, I
but
will.
again, you guys can find her. You can scan that QR code. She's also here on Saturday mornings. But can you guys please do me a favor and give Sarah a round of applause?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah and Carrie. Carrie, thank you for not quitting tonight. It's going to make a really awkward. Well, let me tell you what, here's what I appreciate about Carrie. Because sometimes it's hard, but you still say yes. So can I tell you all what I did to her a couple weeks ago? So we're going to St. Louis tomorrow to go to this conference. And I wanted to do for them, like show them how we do it here, like a guest storyteller. And I was like, man, we need a guest storyteller. Maybe I can find someone in St. Louis. I have some connections. Carrie, you're going to be there. Could you be the guest storyteller at the end of this talk? And so we're going to do what you and Sarah just did. We're going to do it in St. Louis for a new audience. And Carrie gets to share her story again. And I'm going to ask all kinds of questions about the inner child. Can we do it? She's up for anything. Always saying yes. All right, y'all. The way we close here on Saturday nights is with, similar to how we begin with heartaches, but then we begin with celebrations, close with heartaches, the burdens that you've maybe been carrying this week. Maybe the burdens that you've been trying to carry alone that you haven't put words to yet. You haven't said these things out loud. And so we take 3 minutes for this. It's always, just like celebrations, it's a really important part of our time together because you find out you're not alone. I think it's why we exist as a community, because we have this deep sense of wanting to know we're not alone, and you're not alone. You have community. We have a God who hears the cries of the people. That's why we do this. So if you need some prayer, some encouragement, some lifting up, that's what this time is for. And again, if you're joining us online, drop your heartaches into YouTube comments or Facebook comments, and we'll join with you there. 3 minutes. Jason, do you have a mic still? Jason has a mic. And Mama has a mic, so just raise up your hands, and they'll get you a mic. Let's take 3.
Hi, Dee. I had asked for prayers last week regarding a predicament at work, so it's kind of resolved, but not entirely. So I'm just praying to my higher power for some grace as things are resolved, and that I can regain confidence and believe in myself and trust my inner child. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Simone. I would just like to ask for prayers for my kids. They lost their grandmother on their dad's side on Thursday, so it's probably the first big loss for them. So prayers for them, please.
Hi, my name is Jazz. I don't exactly need prayers, but there was an incident on Monday morning when I saw someone ran over a Canadian goose, and it just shows me how cruel humans can be. And even if they're just crossing, just please be careful and please be patient too. It was just a very, very sad sight to see.
Hello, my name is James. I'd like to have some prayers for my daughter, Phaedra, who's suffering from addiction, who overdosed recently, but has got 5 days in rehab. And this day last week, I asked in prayers for her, and I hadn't talked to her for about a year and a half. And this last Saturday night, and we said prayers here last Saturday night, and she called me the next day. After a year and a half, and we've been talking every day since. So that's, to the grace of God and my Lord Jesus Christ. I'm totally grateful, and thank you for your prayers.
Hello, I just want to say, give a big shout out and big thanks to my family for supporting me. It's been quite a wild ride, and they're still here supporting me, and I appreciate that. My recovery coach, and then just thank you guys. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jason. And Mom. Katie, we're Man, that couch, you just kind of sink in it, don't you?
Carrie had to push my butt up out of there.
Let's just make things really awkward up here. Let's see how awkward we can get.
Oh, it's very comfortable in that couch.
Uh-huh. All right, shall we join our online people? You want to take the first one?
Hey, Steve. David, in his 40s, is in hospice care. May he be at peace and have faith as he passes.
Yeah, prayers for David. Live Love. Live Love says, please pray for me to learn my lessons fast and to do well running my race with God. All right, Live Love, lifting you up tonight. Glad you're joining us online. It's good to have you here. Prayers for you.
The Phoenix, prayers for my mom who is struggling with her dementia right now.
All right, lifting her up. Prayers for her. Glad you're joining us, the Phoenix. Thanks for being up here with me. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to mention a little prayer send off for you and Carrie as you guys go. Maybe you guys are aware, but Rye's doing a little, what do you call it, speech thing?
A speech thing? Yeah. We'll call it that, a speech thing. Also known as a keynote or a talk, or, you can call it whatever you want.
I don't do those things. So a keynote, but a couple other speaking engagements.
Yeah,
too.
it's actually really cool. Okay, so after that, on Wednesday night, we're going to be Chris Pondoff. If you're joining us tonight.
He is, he's
Chris,
on there.
Is he on?
Yeah.
Chris is on. Okay, so Chris and Ashley were here last summer. I think it was summer. And they went back to St. Louis and they started a thing. They call it Underground, but they took Free's model and they're doing exactly what we do here at Free. And it's, from what I understand, it's really blowing up. And so Chris called and said, dude, could you stay one more day? This is in St. Louis too. Could you stay one more day? So we're going to stay on Wednesday night. And he invited me to preach that night at his service. So we get to go hang out with a bunch of addicts and alcoholics or people.
And do your speech thing.
And do the speech thing. Yeah. Prayers for the speech thing. Thank you, Tammy. All right. Well, if you have been impacted by the mission here of breaking the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection, well, I always like to tell you, in fact, I tell you every single week, we are funded by you, the people. If you call this place your home, if this is your community, your tribe, your people, whatever you call us, we're very grateful for your giving here. Even for those of you that say, man, I only give a little bit. I'm telling you, a little bit by a lot of people makes a huge difference here. So if that's you and you've been doing that, thank you so much for participating. It truly does have an impact. And for those of you online that have never been here, but you still call this place your home and you are part of this community, you're with us every week, we're really grateful for that too. And I try to say every week, even if you don't give here, give somewhere, because giving does change you. But if you want to give here, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can download the app. Free Recovery Community. It's free. All of our messages and guest storytellers are on there. There's a giving button on there. All of our events are on there, but you can set it up to give once or weekly, monthly, however you want to do it. Same thing on the website, freerecoverycommunity.com. And for those of you in-house, there's a giving kiosk outside the front set of doors and the back side of the doors. Back doors, y'all know what I meant, for cash and check, those types of things. And there's the Kind kiosk just outside these front doors, and it's the one tippy-tap system. It's a fun, safe, secure way to give if you want to hit it on your way out. Actually, don't hit it, just tap it. Just tap, tap, tap-a-roo. Shall we go out with some prayer? I would invite you, if you want, you can just open up the hands. Yeah, maybe tonight you're just open to that inner child, the inner you, the authentic you, the little you, to stand by them, to love them, the one that God created, to be a friend to that one. So just take a big, deep breath. Be reminded it's all just a gift. And if you don't know the set-aside prayer, well, it's on your screen. We'll pray it together. It goes like this. God, today help me set aside everything I think I know about you, everything I think I know about myself, everything I think I know about others, and everything I think I know about my own recovery so that I may have an open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please help me see the truth. Amen. Grace and peace to you. See you all next time.